here in the American Midwest to tell some jokes to some Americans, but it turns out on my travels that I wasn't the first Rhodes to make such a journey. Turns out my great-great-great-great-grandfather, illustrious Rhodes, actually made the perilous trip from England to America in the early days of adventure. So as I walk around here, I'm going to tell you some stories and show you some of the things he encountered when he first came to America. Let's go! In 1780, the great illustrious Rhodes was cast out of his original hometown of Old Shittington for drinking too much, playing cricket badly and tickling the bondsman. "Bugger your mothers," he was quoted to have said. "I'm leaving. I'm going to set up a new home in the great new world of America." Taking with him only his pastor, his 6 wives and his 15 children, he hopped a boat and off he came to the American Midwest in search of adventure. You can feel the ghosts of my ancestors as we walk through this thick undergrowth. They seem to be saying to me, "Tell our story, Sam. Let everybody know of our great triumph and our great losses." These steps represent the first monument for the Rhodes Party's expedition. The first death happened right here. Young Jimmy Rhodes stubbed his toe climbing down these very mountains and died of instant onset gangrene as he reached this spot here. Illustrious decided to build these steps in memoriam for his very weak and sickly son. The beautiful, untamed majesty of the Midwest. Wonderful. Can you imagine living out here, living on nothing but your wits, with only a small block of cheese that you've brought from home, and maybe a picture of your dear old mother back in England, hoping not to be eaten by a bear or a cougar? Could you imagine the stress of trying to drag all these children through it? I can't even get my kids to get into the car, let alone to walk around in the infinite wilderness. This body of water here is known as the Poison Rhodes Reservoir, so called because everyone who drank from it got dysentery, diarrhea, and imagined giant bears were chasing them. It was no bear, however. It was in fact just one of illustrious Rhodes' larger wives following them around the jungle. Wow, it's almost as if I can feel their spirits as I go.
Who's this? Who are you in your past life? What do you want from me, spirit? Do you want me to tell your story? Of course I will. Of course I'll do that for you.
This behind me here is Man-Eater Ravine. Now a popular swimming destination, this was the site of the Rhodes family's toughest decision yet. Who would they eat to stay alive? Straws were drawn, and unfortunately, Tofu Rhodes was chosen. By all accounts, he was nothing but chewy and tough. But it did give the Rhodes Party the ability to continue their adventure into the wild. This here represents the sort of humble covering that the Rhodes family would seek for shelter on their journeys. Animals, of course, are very hard to capture, so on a fireplace such as this, they would prepare delicacies of baked stones, cooked sticks and lovely bits of wood. Unfortunately, after a diet so high in fibre, you would need one of these little bad boys. Colloquially known as a bun hum, this is placed into the anus to stop the onset of diarrhea caused by this diet. Locally, this is known as the alligator's teeth. In a rare attempt to get some rest and relax a little bit, the Rhodes Party climbed onto these rocks and fell asleep. They then awoke suddenly to find themselves surrounded by alligators who had eaten not one but 2 of the wives in a single bite. Finally, after months of hard travel, they reached this point, the point they'd been headed towards the entire journey. The pastor turned to illustrious Rhodes and said, "Here it is, sir. Just over this point, we will see our homestead, the beautiful Carbondale." And he moved, and he looked over the front, and what did he see but more infinite wilderness? And in an absolute fit of rage, illustrious Rhodes leapt on the pastor and ate him raw for his disobedience. Sitting here in this beautiful environment has made me want to recite one of my ancestors' poems. This poem was written by illustrious Rhodes about his journeys. My first son died after stubbing his toe. Sons 2, 3, 4, 5, very soon next to go. Many wives I've loved, many wives I've eaten. If only they were here to wash my trousers. He wasn't always the best at doing rhymes. We would have reached our location just that little bit faster had we had not trusted that absolute arsehole pastor.